You've been putting things off, haven't you? Another day, another excuse. Too tired, too busy, too broke, too old, too young. You've got 1,000 reasons why you can't start today, why it's not the right time, why you need to wait until everything is perfect. But deep down, you know the truth. Those excuses are nothing but noise. They're distractions dressed as logic. And you've let them run the show for far too long. So now, imagine this. A rhythm begins to play. Not just any rhythm, it's hard, raw, unrelenting. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't ask for permission. It demands attention. It's the sound of forward motion. The beat of momentum. Every drop of that song is a punch in the face to your laziness. Every lyric is a mirror held up to your procrastination. It doesn't comfort you, it confronts you. This isn't background music. This is war music. This is the soundtrack to your comeback. You listen and suddenly you can feel your spine straighten, your head lifts, your jaw clenches, and every excuse you've been carrying around like a safety blanket starts to unravel. You begin to realize that every time you said "I can't," what you really meant was "I won't." Every time you waited for motivation, what you needed was discipline. You didn't lack time, you lacked priority. You didn't lack energy, you lacked focus. That song pounding in your ears. It's waking something up, something that's been dormant for too long, your fight. Because let's be honest, you weren't born to be average. You weren't made to sit on the sidelines scrolling, comparing, wishing. You were meant to do, you were meant to try. You were meant to fail, learn, and go again. You were meant to put your hands on the wheel of your own life and drive it like you stole it. And if that scares you, good. That means it matters. So here's the challenge. Stop explaining why you can't. Stop selling yourself short. Press play and go. Go when it's hard. Go when it's cold. Go when it's inconvenient. Go when nobody's watching. Because this isn't about proving anyone else wrong. It's about proving yourself right. The rhythm doesn't wait for permission. Neither should you. The beat doesn't care about your fear. Neither should you. That song is not asking you to believe in yourself. It's daring you to act. Daring you to fight. Daring you to stop making peace with your excuses and start making war on your limitations. Excuses, they die when the beat drops. Momentum is built in silence, in repetition, in the moments you choose effort over excuse. So let the music hit. Let it light the fire, because once it starts, there's no turning back. You're not just listening to a song, you're waking up the version of you that refuses to quit. You said, excuses are distractions disguised as logic. They come dressed up in perfectly reasonable words. They sound intelligent, even responsible. I don't have time right now. I need to do more research. I'm not ready yet. What if I fail? These statements don't sound weak. They sound smart. They sound like the voice of caution, of wisdom. But if you look closer, they're nothing more than fear in a mask. They're the internal lies we tell ourselves to stay safe, to stay small, to stay stuck. The mind is clever. It doesn't always attack you directly. Instead, it whispers doubt wrapped in logic. It builds a prison using the materials of your own reasoning. It keeps you behind bars with thoughts that seem valid. It's not the right time becomes a mantra, not a truth. Because the truth is, it will never feel like the perfect time. There will always be bills, distractions, obligations, noise. Life will always be a little chaotic. Waiting for ideal conditions is the quickest way to make sure you never start. Every excuse you cling to has one goal: to keep you still, to keep you from growing, from risking, from becoming. Excuses don't care about your future. They serve your comfort, not your calling. They give you a short-term pass to avoid discomfort at the cost of long-term regret. And the worst part, they often feel so reasonable that you believe them, you argue for them, you defend them. But the moment you take a step back, the mask falls, and what you're left with is fear, insecurity, doubt dressed up to sound like wisdom. Think about it. How many dreams have died behind excuses that sounded logical? How many opportunities were missed because someone convinced themselves it wasn't the right time, or that they weren't good enough, or that someone else was better suited for the job? Excuses don't kill you, they just slowly drain your potential until you forget it was ever there. They shrink your world, one small decision at a time. You don't overcome excuses by arguing with them. You kill them with action. You do the thing despite the doubt. You move forward while being uncertain. You take the first step, not because everything is clear, but because you know clarity comes from doing, not waiting. Action exposes excuses. When you take even one small step, the fear loses its grip. The logic starts to fall apart. You realize most of the limits were never real. They were just boundaries you agreed to believe in. That's the shift, when you begin to see excuses not as truth, but as traps. When you recognize that every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," you're making a deal with your comfort zone. And that deal costs you everything. Excuses are persuasive, but they are powerless against consistent effort. They can't hold their shape when you move. They can't survive the pressure of action. Once you see them for what they are, they lose their strength. And you gain yours. Motivation fades, discipline wins. In the beginning, motivation feels like a fire. It's strong, exciting, and it pushes you to act. Maybe it's a new goal, a New Year's resolution, a song, a video, or even a moment of inspiration that gets your heart racing. You feel unstoppable, like this time will be different. This time you'll follow through, and for a while you do. You show up, you push hard, and you ride the high of that motivation. But then life happens. You get tired. Things get hard. The novelty wears off. And suddenly, the fire that once burned so hot starts to flicker. The energy you had is gone. The motivation, it's silent. And in that silence, you're faced with a choice. Stop and wait for that feeling to come back, or keep going without it. That's the moment where most people quit. They say they lost motivation, as if that's the end of the story. But it's not, because what you really need in that moment isn't more motivation, it's discipline. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It shows up when motivation leaves. It's the voice in your head that says, "Do it anyway." Discipline is boring, unglamorous, and quiet. It doesn't give you a rush, it doesn't make you feel invincible, but it builds something far more valuable: consistency. And consistency is what leads to real progress, not random bursts of energy, but repeated action over time. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. One starts the journey, the other keeps it going. That's why the people who succeed in anything, fitness, business, creativity, personal growth, are not the ones who are always motivated. They're the ones who do the work even on the days they don't want to. They show up when it's raining, when it's cold, when no one is clapping for them. They understand that feelings come and go, but habits are built through action. You won't always feel like it. That's the truth most people don't want to hear. There will be days when you're exhausted, unmotivated, and full of doubt. That's where discipline steps in, not as a feeling, but as a decision. You don't have to be inspired to keep going. You just have to commit. One more rep, one more call, one more page, one more day of doing the thing you said you would do. Waiting on motivation is a trap. It turns your goals into wishes. But when you lean on discipline, you take control. You stop relying on emotion and start relying on action. And over time, discipline becomes part of who you are. You don't need to feel like working out, you just do. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment, you create it. That's how progress is made, not in the hype, but in the hard, not in the mood, but in the movement. That's how you win, every time. Progress begins where comfort ends. That's the line nobody wants to hear. But it's the one truth that separates those who grow from those who stay stuck. Comfort feels good. It's warm, familiar, and safe. It's the routine you know, the habits you've built, the limits you've accepted. And for a while, there's nothing wrong with that. Comfort gives rest, it gives recovery. But if you stay there too long, comfort becomes a trap. A quiet, invisible one. You stop moving forward not because you've failed, but because you've settled. Growth lives outside the walls of what feels easy. It lives in resistance, in challenge, in uncertainty. Progress doesn't show up when you're doing what you've always done. It shows up when you push past what you thought was possible. That's where the stretch happens. That's where character is built. That's where limits get broken, but only if you're willing to step into discomfort. Discomfort is the signal that you're on the edge of something new. It means you're trying, risking, learning. And yes, it means you might fail, but it also means you're evolving. Too many people avoid that tension. They stay in their bubble because it feels safe, but safe isn't the same as fulfilled. You weren't built to coast. You weren't made to do the same thing every day and call that a life. You were built for movement, for impact. For more and more doesn't come from doing what's easy. Ask yourself, when's the last time you did something that scared you? Something that stretched you, that pushed you out of routine and forced you to grow. If it's been a while, chances are you've been stuck in the comfort zone. That zone is clever. It convinces you that avoiding stress is the same as protecting your peace. But the truth is, growth is messy. It's loud, it's uncomfortable, and it's absolutely necessary. You don't build muscle without resistance. You don't build confidence without risk. You don't build discipline without sacrifice. Every single level of your potential is guarded by discomfort. And every time you choose to lean into that discomfort, you take a step toward the person you're meant to become. Not the easy version of you, the strong version, the real version, the one who doesn't quit when things get hard, but rises when they do. Progress is not about giant leaps. It's about small steps into unknown places. That means failing, adjusting, and going again. It means showing up when you'd rather stay in bed. It means having the conversation you've been avoiding. It means taking the shot when the outcome isn't guaranteed. That's what it costs. That's what it takes. So if you're feeling uncomfortable, good. That means you're not stuck. That means you're on the edge of something better. Keep walking, keep pushing. Let comfort be your warning sign, not your destination. Because every time you choose discomfort, you choose growth. And every time you choose growth, you move forward. That's where progress lives. You weren't made to be average. That truth might scare you, but it should also wake you up. There is nothing special about staying in the middle. There is nothing rewarding about playing small, fitting in, or doing just enough to get by. Deep down, you know that. That quiet frustration you feel when you see others doing more, being more, achieving more, it's not jealousy. It's your potential reminding you that you're capable of more too. Average is the default. It's what happens when you stop trying. It's what happens when you choose comfort over challenge, convenience over commitment. Most people are fine being average because it doesn't hurt. It doesn't demand much. It lets you stay in the crowd, unnoticed, unchallenged, and undisturbed. But you weren't built for that life. You weren't meant to settle for what's typical. You were made to rise, to create, to lead, to build something that outlives you. The problem is, most people confuse fitting in with winning. They think if they're not failing, they're doing okay. But okay is the enemy of excellence. You don't grow in okay. You don't unlock your strength, your purpose, or your impact in the middle of the pack. Greatness lives on the edge, where it's uncomfortable, where it's lonely, and where it requires you to give more than you thought you could. That's why most people never reach it. Not because they can't, but because they choose not to. You've got gifts. You've got a fire in you that's been ignored for too long, and you know it. Every time you doubt yourself, every time you hold back, every time you say maybe later, you're feeding the lie that average is enough. But what if you stopped lying to yourself? What if you owned your potential instead of hiding from it? What if you showed up like you were meant for more because you are, The truth is, being great isn't about talent alone. It's about effort, mindset, and belief. It's about showing up every day with the kind of intensity that average people won't understand. It's about making sacrifices, choosing discipline over distraction, and refusing to let fear make your decisions for you. You weren't made to live life halfway. You weren't designed to coast. There is something inside you that the world needs, but the world will never see it if you keep playing small. You have a responsibility to show up fully, to push the limits, to step into the higher version of yourself, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard, because the truth is, average people take the easy road, but you take the one that requires more. More patience, more courage, more grit. That's what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary, not what they have, but what they give. You weren't made to be average. That voice inside you telling you there's more, it's not wrong. It's just waiting for you to finally listen. The beat doesn't wait, neither should you. There's a rhythm to opportunity, to momentum, to life itself. It's always moving, always flowing forward, whether you're ready or not. That's the reality too many people ignore. They think they have time. They think they can wait until they feel ready, until things are perfect, until the stars align. But life doesn't pause for your hesitation. The world keeps turning, the beat keeps playing, and if you're not moving with it, you're falling behind. Opportunities don't come with guarantees, they come with windows. And those windows don't stay open forever. You either act or you miss. It's that simple. The beat is unforgiving. It rewards those who jump in, who take the shot, who move with urgency even when they're uncertain. It punishes hesitation. Every time you stall, second, guess, or overthink, you lose time, you lose rhythm, you lose momentum. And momentum is one of the most powerful forces you can ever build, but only if you keep moving. Think about the times you felt the most alive, when things were clicking, when energy was high, when you were in sync with your goals. That wasn't luck. That was you riding the wave of momentum. You didn't get there by waiting. You got there by showing up again and again, regardless of how you felt. You moved with the beat. You didn't question it. You acted, and that's why you made progress. Waiting kills more dreams than failure ever will. Most people don't fail because they weren't good enough. They fail because they never started. They never moved. They let fear, doubt, or laziness talk them out of it. They stood still while the beat kept going. And once you miss enough beats, it gets harder and harder to find your way back into rhythm. Not because you're incapable, but because you've trained yourself to hesitate. If you want something, really want it, you can't afford to wait. You can't afford to delay action, to keep planning endlessly, to wait until conditions are perfect. The perfect moment is a myth. The beat is now, right now, in this moment. It's not asking you to be perfect, it's asking you to move. To start, to trust yourself enough to take the next step, even if you're not sure where it leads. There's power in motion. Every small action compounds. Every step forward builds confidence. You don't need a full plan. You need the courage to move when the beat drops. Because if you don't, someone else will. Someone else will take the shot you hesitated on. Someone else will show up while you're still thinking about it. And the truth is, the beat doesn't care who wins, it just keeps moving. The question is, will you move with it, or will you get left behind? You've waited long enough. The beat is here. It's pulsing, it's pushing, it's calling, not for perfection, not for certainty, just for action. No more waiting, no more perfect timing, no more comfort over commitment. The truth has been in front of you the whole time. Your excuses are lies, your motivation is fleeting, and your comfort zone is holding you hostage. But now you know better. Now you see it clearly. You weren't made for average. You weren't built to watch life pass you by. You were born to move, to rise, to fight, to do even when it's hard, even when you're scared, even when no one else believes in it but you. So stop waiting for the right mood, the perfect moment, or a green light from the world. You already have permission from yourself. The beat is playing, the fire is lit, the doors are open. You just have to step through. Kill the excuses. Kill the hesitation and replace them with action. Every second you hesitate is a second you never get back. The clock is ticking, the rhythm is alive, and this is your cue.